Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Danny and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, I'm Danny.
And I am John.
You know, I always point at myself,
You do.
and people can't see it. Why do I bother?
I can, and I've known you for years, so
In case you didn't know, it's me.
It's no surprise to me anymore.
Who has two thumbs, and it's me.
Who has two thumbs and is me?
Yep. Oh, no. We've lost him already. Okay. Welcome to Watching My Stories. We're back. We've had some very traumatic 2 weeks, so we might be a little bit ready to laugh.
So I think that's where that just came from.
Yeah.
Is I needed a laugh because, it's been a long...
Yeah, so we've been, our poor little pup.
There she
There she is. She knows her cues.
She's got great comedic timing.
She's had a couple of problems, having to go to the hospital and all that. Diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension, so she's on a ton of meds.
Yeah.
But she's 14, and we're just we're taking it day by day. But as you can hear, she's doing pretty well.
I believe she's almost back to normal.
Yeah.
How she was, before the episodes she had.
Yeah. So now we're working on getting her breathing regulated, and we're getting her massages back for her arthritis. So yeah, we're hopeful, but it has been a very stressful couple of weeks for us.
Yes, it has.
So on that note, I have managed to watch some movies and just a couple things I want to talk about. And then in the Actors Corner, we're going to talk about Tom Cruise, which I can't believe we missed somehow.
I was surprised when you told me we had not done Tom Cruise.
I know. I was shocked too. Okay, so the first movie we're going to talk about, the movie that everyone's talking about right now.
What is it?
That came out yesterday and everyone's going crazy for? Hamilton.
Oh, that one. I've heard of it.
Yeah, so I'm one of the people who I actually woke up at midnight Thursday night.
West Coast,
and watched it.
Yep.
So I was up till 3-ish, which was okay. We were up anyway. There were times we were all up anyways.
Yeah.
So I did that. I saw this original cast on Broadway, so I'm one of the lucky ones. And then I saw a different cast on Broadway, I think, and then we saw the tour here in Los Angeles.
Yep.
So we're lucky enough that we've seen this in person. But still thrilled to be able to watch it. I think I watched it another time yesterday, and then you and I sat and watched it.
Yeah.
So now I've watched it 3 times as well on television.
Yes.
Yes.
Streaming on Disney Plus.
Streaming on Disney Plus. So I don't know that I have to talk about it, but I will because
that's what
everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
It feels weird because it's like it's on one level I'm like it's 5 years old. Like how do you talk about something that to me I saw 5 years ago? You know what I mean?
Well, even if you've seen it a bunch of times on in theater, right, live, a movie is going to be different, right?
Well, it does. Yes, the energy is for sure different. There's so much more energy when you're there in person, which again is why theater exists and why theater is the best thing in the world, because the energy is only there for that night. And when you go see something in the theater, it feels like it's a very personal experience because it is your experience, and you feel like you're having this with those people on stage, and it will not be the same the next night for other people, and it will not be the same the night after that. And that's what's so lovely about theater. And RIP, not that they're completely gone, but it's a long year without theater. That's for sure. For those of you that are also feeling the loss, another reason why this is so nice to come out now, because it just kind of reminds you how great theater can be.
Yeah, and take the time to say thoughts and best wishes to everybody on Broadway.
Yes.
Who's shut down and can't do what they do. It's been a long time, and it's going to be a lot longer. I mean, they're now announced they shut down through the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
So
if
Broadway's
you can give to
lost.
Broadway Cares, there's a lot of equity donations that you can give to help all these people, the musicians, the actors, those crew, the ushers. Everyone's out of work. and it's really tough on them.
Yeah, and a real quick shout out, if you have time, go on YouTube and search Seth Rudetsky, who does gets theater people together on a regular basis, a couple times a week, I think. And if you're missing it, you get to see the stars of Broadway, through Zoom. It's a teleconference, and it's just kind of a good way to stay in touch.
Yeah, we talked about it before. We talked about all the reunions he's doing.
I know.
But yeah, you can donate on there. And a lot of times, if you watch the live feeds and you donate, they're having the stars that are on read the names of the people who have donated. Mm-hmm. So there's a little incentive there to try and watch live as well as donate and help people out. They've raised a lot of money for everyone in the theater community. Anyway, back to Hamilton. So John had not seen the original cast. He didn't really remember the tour cast either, but
it's not an indictment of the show. It's an indictment of me and my memory, which is epically bad.
I will say I've been a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda's since In the Heights, which I also saw on Broadway. In the Heights, I actually favor In the Heights more than Hamilton. Not that I think it's a better production. I think Hamilton is the best production. But I think people's first shows I get attached to. It's like a sentimental thing. So I just love In the Heights personally. It was the new Rent that I needed, 10 years later and stuff. So
I can understand that, because I think if it feels, when you think about In the Heights, it feels closer to Lin-Manuel. Right. It was much more his story or his thing that he created versus, Hamilton is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's still really an adaptation of a book.
Yeah. And
it's somebody else's story, where In the Heights was really a true original and his.
Sure. Yeah, I guess. So Hamilton, what do we say? I said I think it's one of the best productions ever. I feel like there's not a problem with anything. The music, obviously, the writing, obviously, the words are brilliant. I mean, I was trying to think of a more creative way, but I am not Lynn, so I can't. The choreography with the orchestrations, with the props, with the lighting, with the way the story is told, and then every single person, and this is true on the tour cast and then the secondary Broadway cast I saw, every person is so talented.
Yeah.
And it's they should be if they made it to that, but still, it's just to be able, it's not everyone could step into this show.
No.
Not everyone can speak that fast. Not everyone could get it out.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it definitely takes, and especially in the Lafayette and Jefferson role, that's some of the fastest you can have, and I just, not everyone can step into it.
Yeah, Daveed Diggs is a unique individual.
He's so fantastic. And if you're not watching Snowpiercer with him on it, then you're missing out.
Stop listening and go watch it.
You
know what I was thinking while we were watching the movie? Is two things. There is so much opportunity to screw up.
Yeah.
I mean, some shows are every other show is slower.
Yes.
And more, the cadence is just slower and softer and less demanding of an actor.
Yeah, I think there's I knew it 5 years ago, and that's part of the problem, but I think there's something like 4 times more words in this show than any other show ever produced.
Yeah, I know. You've told me the number.
Yeah,
and
I don't remember.
It was significantly as many times more than second place.
Yeah.
And the amazing, it just amazes me that they can do this and not screw up.
I'm sure there were screw ups along the way. I'm sure if we talked to everyone, they'd be like, oh, remember that day that I went to go get this prop and it wasn't there or whatever.
Sure.
But yes, you're right. It like I said to you, I would love to see the backstage before the show, to see the lineup of all the props and how they have the costumes, and everything is so well, again, choreographed as far as those dancers and bringing things in, changing the costumes, and there's so much going on, which is why I think after I saw it the first time, everyone kept going, well, why do you want to see it again? First off, because again, there's nothing like the energy of this show in the theater, but there's so much to look at. And you want to be in different parts of where you are sitting so that you can see different things and different aspects. And, if you're not high up, you don't get to see the lighting on the ground. And if you're not close, you don't get to really see, their emotions. And if you're not, I think my first time I was in the second row, but I was far on the side. So I was able to see things obviously really well on the opposite side of the stage. And, it's just, to me, it's worth the $500 a ticket. That's what I've always paid. I know people can't do that. But if you can plan to buy tickets a year in advance and save up that $500, to me, it's just worth it.
Sure.
But I also would pay that for most shows. So I don't know that, again, for me, like I have tickets still for Music Man next summer that I paid that much for. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess I'm not a normal theater. You can't take my word for it.
You're not a normal person, and I love you for it. but I'm gonna put words in your mouth, and I think it's safe to say that you've spent $500 on a lot of shows, and have not enjoyed them as much.
I probably wouldn't spend that much a second time to see those shows. Many shows, you know what I mean? But this one, if that's what it was forever, that's what I would do.
Sure.
Because again, every cast brings something to it. Every cast allows you to see really brilliant, diverse actors that normally wouldn't get a shot unless they're sitting around waiting for Porgy and Bess to come back or something, so, or Ragtime, which again, I love that show, but, I just, again, people walk around going, "Oh, Lin-Manuel, he's a genius. I don't disagree. But you really have to, again, watch the show so many times to, I think, truly understand it. You can watch it once and go, "Oh, that was awesome." And, "Oh my God, yeah, how did he put that together? And he's a genius." But when you really can dig into the nuances of the show, the tying of the music all the way through, and telling such a story, and that spans so many years, and telling it in a way that makes sense. Again, because the only really historic comparable show you can go to is 1776 when they were signing the Declaration. That show is fun. It's got like fun songs and it's fine. But I don't think I ever came out of it like going, I just learned what happened during that signing, or writing of it.
Right.
Like, so this one, I came out learning so much, and I grew up in Virginia with the main characters that, and I learned about them, but I honestly, there was so much I didn't know. I didn't know that all of this really started in New York. I had no idea that that's where the Capitol was going to be. I didn't know that that's what was happening. I didn't know Hamilton was an immigrant. Like, I didn't know any of this junk.
Right. And most people,
right.
Go on a limb, I'm going to say most people didn't.
Right.
And a lot of people don't.
Right. Then again, you show me a $10 bill, I'm still not going to know who that person is because Lynn will always be Alexander Hamilton. I was telling him, Chris Jackson, anyone talks about Washington, Chris Jackson is who I picture. Anyone talks about Aaron Burr, it's always going to be Leslie Odom. It's these people, that's who's in my history banks in my head right now, and probably will be forever.
Sure.
And I, it is what it is. I could care less.
They're certainly probably among the best versions of those people, right? Of anybody who's ever stepped into those shoes.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's, look, there's a lot of things that people can pick apart and say, should we be celebrating these founding fathers and blah, 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 blah. Let's get over all of that and let's talk about, this is about Alexander Hamilton and what a story he was.
Yeah.
And again, think about, like we talked about last night during One Last Time, when imagine being George Washington, who just led the country through a revolution to stand alone, and then he's picked to lead.
Yeah.
But through the whole thing, he had no problem looking at an immigrant and saying, "Come be my camp to aid during the war. Come be my secretary of treasury." Like, there was no question. I mean, again, some of them kept calling him out, and I'm sure he probably heard a lot of horrible things. But the fact that the man who started this thing and led our country in the beginning had no problem reaching out shows how maybe backwards we've even gone today because people can't do the same thing or can't accept the same thing.
Yeah, it's. I know what you're saying without saying it, and it's a slippery slope here, and I don't want to get political, but yeah, it would probably blow a lot of people away who scream at the top of their lungs they're true patriots and that sort of thing. It would blow those people away to understand the reality of the Washington situation with Hamilton, and what he stood up for him,
right,
and allowed him to do. That today, people are screaming at the top of their lungs the exact opposite while maintaining that they're the biggest patriots. Yeah, it's such.
At the same time, you have to think about Hamilton hating slavery, and yet he did work for a man who continued to have slaves and couldn't change his mind on that. So, anyway, complicated history. But the musical, not complicated, wonderful. Have tissues if you haven't watched this before. And that's what everyone always said. Even I think my mom was like, I'm going to cry for Alexander Hamilton. Yup. Lots and lots and lots. So, just sit back and admire the wonderful performances. The women are just amazing.
Yeah, we keep talking about, Lynn and Chris Jackson and Daveed Diggs and Leslie Odom Jr. and that's a complete disservice to the women in the show.
Philippa Sue, especially having that last moment that she has, and when she sings "Burn," it's just and Quiet Uptown. She's and then
you just gave me goosies thinking about Uptown.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's the best. And Renee Elise Goldsberry, she's been around forever. If you don't know her, you've probably seen her, and she just kills it. And then Jasmine Cephas Jones, who so beautiful, so wonderful. Say no to this when she's playing Mariah Reynolds. Her voice is just butter. Her dad is actually, he's on This Is Us. If people don't know that, he plays Sterling K. Brown's biological dad that he found in the first season.
That died?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
That's Jasmine's dad.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else to say?
I mean,
about
we
Hamilton?
could go on and on. And just suffice to say, if you haven't seen it, go see it for just, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Disney Plus is going to leave this there forever. It won't surprise me if in 3 months, 6 months, we hear that they're going to take it off of Disney Plus again. It won't surprise me.
Sure.
I think they're going to try and keep this, because they also might want to still release. This was originally supposed to come out in movie theaters next October.
Right.
So they might want to pull it and then a year later release it in movie theaters again. Who knows?
And honestly, if the world has settled down again by then.
Yeah. I'll go see it in the theater.
And COVID-19 is gone.
Yeah.
I'd go see it.
Yeah.
And I just watched it at home, but I would pay to go see it on the big screen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something else I was going to say about that. I don't know. Oh, and then The Heights was supposed to come out in June, and they've pushed it back to next June. So we will wait for that. And that's going to star Anthony Ramos, who in this original cast plays Lawrence and Philip. So keep an eye out for him. He's fantastic.
Yep.
That's it then. Okay, we're going to move on.
Oof, I'm exhausted already.
Hamilton on Disney Plus, like anyone doesn't know.
Yeah.
But go see it. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is a kind of documentary on Apple TV Plus called Dads. This is a little documentary that Bryce Dallas Howard directed and put together. And it came out Father's Day weekend. It's basically just a way to kind of celebrate dads as well as talk about how the role of being a dad has changed today versus what most people are in. So what's cool is she does a lot of like interviews with celebrities. There's her dad, Ron Howard. I was thinking of Will Smith. Ron Howard, who, if I could be part of their family, I mean, I just love them all so much. And actually her grandfather, she had interviewed years ago before he died. So Ron's on there, and Will Smith and Patton Oswalt and Judd Apatow and Hassan Minhaj and Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien. So they all kind of give their takes on their own dads as well as how they're parenting. So sorry. And then in between, she goes and she's found regular dads around the world country, and how they're doing things. So there was one who is a stay-at-home dad. He was just miserable with his job, and so his wife was kind of like, well, then you stay home. And he started like Instagramming it and blogging it and how horrible it was. You know, he's like, I had no idea. And and then he started getting this following, and so now he's online famous. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it was really a good story about that. There's a gay couple who adopted a bunch of kids and how they're parenting kids who came with some baggage and that sort of stuff. Theirs was really good. Again, one of those guys decided to stay home when they got those kids. There's a couple in Brazil, and he talks about how in Brazil stay-at-home dads really isn't a thing. And he doesn't stay at home, he works, but he's involved. And even being a co-parent in Brazil, I guess, still isn't a thing. Fathers just really aren't expected to parent.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another story.
It really
somewhere.
is amazing the cultural differences.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it comes to interpersonal relationships. Like,
well, even here, people still are weird about it. You know, like, oh, he's babysitting, your husband's babysitting. No, he's being a freaking dad. That's it.
Yeah, there's still some of that, but I mean to have like a culture noted for it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that. And there are others, but you know, it's just.
There's this one guy in Triangle, Virginia, actually.
Hey, we know where that is.
Yeah. His kid was born with like heart defects. And so for the first 3 to 5 years, he was in surgeries and all this stuff. And this poor guy, he's like working nights and then being with his kid all day and all this stuff. And it was a heartbreaking story, but a wonderful story of a man who just never let up and never, it didn't, like, him and the mom weren't together, but it didn't matter. He still showed up every day and is with his kid. And, you know, so it was a lovely kind of, you know, even the celebrities talking about how different it is and how different, like, the things with their fathers were and how things have changed and what the expectations are. And then it goes into a whole thing of parenting teens once they grow up, which was also pretty funny to watch. Little excerpts of that. Oh, and she also, her brother Reed, Howard, so the youngest of the 4 Howard kids, his wife was expecting. So she interviews him about what he's thinking and if he's freaking out, you know. And again, when like Ron Howard talks about his dad, who we all know, and I can't think of his name. What was his name? Howard. He, you know, he actually cries on it saying, you know, he always worried that he was never going to be as good a dad as his dad. And Reed says the same thing, you know, how can I top what our dad did for us and all that sort of thing. And so it's very, very sweet. And all these guys are very sweet and get very emotional, especially talking about their own fathers. So again, it was just a nice highlight to kind of, you know, bring a spotlight on dads and talk about the changes that are happening in the role, which is also really important. Yeah. Yeah. So that's on Apple TV Plus. It's called Dads.
Okay.
Yeah. The next movie I watched is called Just Mercy. This is the one with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. They started allowing this to be rented for $0 during this Black Lives Matter movement. So I took advantage of that. This is where Michael B. Jordan is playing the real life attorney Brian Stevenson. Sorry. And this is just one story where he works to fight to free Jamie Foxx's character, who is Walter McMillan, in Alabama. So Brian Stevenson, he like went to Harvard Law and all that sort of stuff. And instead of like going and getting a lot of money, he decided he was going to move to Alabama and start helping these guys that were on death row.
Was he from Alabama?
No.
So he just did...
He just knew this was an issue.
Wow.
That the overwhelming number of black people on death row there and the overwhelming number of probably innocent black men, he knew it was a problem. And so and I should have looked it up because I looked up his website afterwards because you can donate to it. So he started this the Equal Justice Initiative along with the woman that Brie Larson plays in the movie, Ava, I forget how you pronounce it. They started this 20 years ago. I mean, and he's just been fighting to get people out. And if he can prove their innocence, then he does. And really the movie really highlights the injustice of just wanting to prosecute black men in this instance in Alabama, but we know
it's everywhere.
And how unfair it can be. You know, there's no money and there's no you can't fight when the cops just want to point at you. So it's very well done. Of course, you can't go wrong with Michael B. Jordan or Jamie Foxx. I mean, hello. It's a really great story. It tells stories of other men that are on death row with him. And then go check out the what did I call it?
Equal Justice Initiative?
Yes, thank you. My gosh, my brain. You can go to their website and you can donate money, but you can also see the real stories of all these people. So that's it. So I think it's still available for rent for $0. I also saw that I think it was on FX one night. So Just Mercy, definitely worth watching for sure.
Yeah, especially, today, as we're talking, it's July 4th, Independence Day. And we need to just I was just going to say, we need to be mindful that not everybody celebrates independence the same.
Right.
There's a large segment of society that, to a large degree right now isn't free.
Right.
And, just be mindful of that and give thanks.
Yeah, and watch these stories. And every streaming platform now has a section for Black stories, and it's really important whether it's a documentary or a movie like this, or there are some really great fictional stories that are still Black stories because, again, they see them every day, like The Hate U Give, which is amazing. It's worth watching and spend time doing that so that, again, you just open yourself up to learning. Yeah,
and I'm not going to get on a soapbox here. I'm just going to say that, if your biggest decision today on July 4th is whether to have deviled egg salad or potato salad, you owe it to your fellow citizens, I think, to really take a look at what's going on, what's happened, what's happening, and better understand what is going on and what's happened, and make a difference in whatever way you can.
Yeah, it's always good to learn.
Yeah,
and so these things will open your mind and maybe make you look at things. Like I watched American Son again for a second time on Juneteenth, and that's the movie on Netflix. It was a play converted to a movie with Kerry Washington. And it's so good and so wonderful. But to me, that's one of those that you have to watch because it really does open so many conversations. So if you want to start with something, I would check out American Son on Netflix.
Yeah, thank you. I'm done.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay.
Next one is another documentary that was on Netflix called Athlete A. This is another look into the whole despicable Larry Nassar U.S. gymnastics scandal.
Yeah.
I will say if you saw the HBO documentary at the Heart of Gold that was about this, that was much better. It was much more in depth, just better. I think because I don't know, that filmmaker just did a really great job. This Athlete A, it allowed more athletes to come forward, which Maggie... I don't write these things down. I think her name was Maggie Nichols, and I'm so sorry if I'm wrong on that. She was Athlete A. She was one of the first ones who filed a complaint against him. But then she came forward during the court with her real name, the court case. So anyway, I liked this. I liked that more women got to tell their story. Obviously, it didn't get as into everything as at the Heart of Gold did.
Not as many details on his actions and things like that.
Or even to me, the court case, because I felt like there was a lot that happened during the whole hearing that was important in how he was even trying to still manipulate the hearing process and all of that. And luckily there was a female judge who wouldn't take it. So, if you are interested in the story, obviously check out both. I mean, that's fine. If you're if you only want to do one, I would say do it The Heart of Gold on HBO. But this one was just as interesting. It just kind of recounts the whole thing, but it felt like it went a lot faster and just kind of was an overview.
Glossed over some stuff. Okay. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's the timing.
Yeah.
The time you have allowed. So anyway, that's Athlete A on Netflix.
Okay.
The next movie is another Netflix movie. Netflix has been getting into like doing these really cheesy like Lifetime movies, Hallmark movies type things.
No.
And normally I don't watch all of them. It depends on the mood I'm in. And this one I came across called Feel the Beat. And the only reason it got my attention was because Sophia Carson was starring in it. Sophia Carson plays Evie in the Disney Descendants movies. She's the Evil Queen's daughter, who I love her. I think she's just so gorgeous and talented and all that. So anyway, I saw that she was in this movie and it was about dancing. And I was like, that's okay. And I guess it was the mood I was in. I was like, I don't want to watch anything heavy, whatever. So anyway, it's just a silly movie. She's like a Broadway dancer, and she steals a cab of this woman, and it turns out she's like the biggest like choreographer on Broadway, and so she's blacklisted. So she has to go home to Wisconsin, to a small town in Wisconsin where she is the best dancer the town's ever seen, right?
Yeah, every town in Wisconsin is a small town.
And she goes back to her old dance studio, and they want to start going to these dance competitions,
Sorry, we gotta check, see what's going on.
And so she decides if she makes it to the finals of this dance competition, this guy that casts on Broadway is one of the judges. So she's like, oh, well, if I get these kids to that, he'll see me and I can get my life back.
Okay.
That's the point of the show.
Sure.
But of course, you fall in love with the kids and all this blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's a totally sweet movie. There's nothing heavy, nothing to think about, nothing to talk about afterwards. Just, I like her, and she was good in it. And
you had me at Wisconsin.
It was fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, Netflix does have some of these just kind of throwaway movies, and it was probably a Sunday or something. I don't
Interesting
know.
choices.
Yeah, called Feel the Beat.
Okay.
Next movie is one that came out last weekend with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, called Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga.
Whatever.
Oh, I actually think you should watch this, and let me tell you why. So yeah, I went into this going, this is going to be awful. I love Will Ferrell. I love Rachel McAdams, but let me just start it and I'll probably turn it off halfway, Well, first off, the first song that came on, Volcano Man, it wasn't bad. And I was like, okay. And so then I started watching it. And here's the thing. I think it's like a little over 2 hours long. So it could definitely be shrunk down for sure. But at the same time, I didn't find myself bored. I kept chuckling at different things. Dan Stevens is in it. He plays like one of the Russian Eurovision contest people.
Interesting.
He's really funny. Everyone in it is pretty funny. It feels a lot like it follows the pattern of Blades of Glory a lot. But let me tell you, there are 2 songs on this that I keep forgetting. I want to go buy. They're so good. Their first original Eurovision song, and then the one that she actually sings at the Eurovision contest is so good. So good. I mean, it was one of those moments like, I was like, oh, okay, the whole movie was worth watching now because of these songs.
Isn't Eurovision kind of techno pop?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out because I don't mind that music.
You don't. And I this might be the Will Ferrell that you don't get on board with as much. But
so I just have to say, you love Will Ferrell and you love Rachel McAdams.
Yeah. Yes.
They're 2 of my. I'm warming up to Will Ferrell. I am.
Yes.
But I'm not a fan of Rachel McAdams.
But that's not true. You like her in Game Night.
She's the weak link for me, but okay.
There's something else we were just watching.
I like her.
Wedding Crashers.
That's okay with her. What is it with the Boston Globe?
Yeah, Spotlight.
Spotlight.
Yeah.
I like that cast.
Anyway,
she's not my favorite.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I don't think you mean it.
You can't disagree with that. It's my opinion.
Nope. Anyway, Eurovision Song Contest is on Netflix.
Okay.
It gets a little long, but it's entertaining. Pierce Brosnan is in it. He plays Will Ferrell's dad.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem I have with it is that in the beginning, they're watching the Eurovision contest like in 74 or something when ABBA was on.
Mm-hmm.
And that sparks Will Ferrell's character and this love for this contest. He's a kid and he's dancing around. I don't know the ages of kids, so I would say anywhere from 6 to 10 at the kid that's jumping around. And so's the little girl who's supposed to be Rachel McAdams, which would mean that today they would be in their 50s, which Will Ferrell is.
Mm-hmm.
But Rachel McAdams, I think, is just a couple years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we're supposed to still continue on this pathway believing that she's the same age as him, which is just really weird. Like, I have an easier time of him being younger.
You do realize you're one of 4 people in the world that have noticed this?
There's no way.
Yes.
You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it because every time you see them side by side, you're just like, really? You guys are supposed to be the same age? Like, because it's part of it that they've grown up together their whole lives, and so it's just
okay.
that's a little weird.
All
but
right,
anyway,
well, that's probably a little different then. But I know that you.
it's different to age a woman up. To try and say this one's supposed to be 10 years older than she actually is. Then usually, everyone we're supposed to believe they're 10 years younger. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Just talking. Yeah, so I suggest it. I think it's fun for people to watch. I think families would have fun with this. And for people who don't know the Eurovision Song Contest, it's a huge deal. And the reason Will Ferrell did the movie is because, his wife is Swedish. They spend every summer in Sweden. So she introduced him to this because it's a huge deal in Europe. And he wanted to acknowledge that, and he made these people are from Iceland, not Sweden.
Is it like American Idol here, or what's the deal?
I think it's even bigger than that. I bet if you went over there and asked people, I'll bet it's more like the World Cup to them. I mean, like literally towns will shut down so they can go and watch the Eurovision stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the countries have budgets to help their entrants be in the contest, and they have people who, like the countries support the people
so
who
this is
are
almost like an Olympics.
kind of for really
Holy
weird music.
smokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
for weird.
I had no idea.
Do you
Okay.
remember, this is going to be a tangent and you probably won't remember, but remember
Sounds fun.
the Melissa McCarthy movie The Spy?
Yeah.
And when she's chasing Jason Statham through that concert, and there's that man on stage who has like the mirror outfit,
Nope.
and he's singing, and it's like all auto tuned that he's singing, and it's this fun song. You don't remember the guy?
I don't remember.
Anyway, he was the latest Eurovision winner when that movie came out. He's kind of a famous.
In the movie, or it was the Eurovision
for real
winner.
He was the
playing the
Eurovision winner, and so he happened to be performing on the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was hoping you would remember him because he had that kind of techno weird look. I don't want to say weird because that's a bad word, but he has that auto tune sound. You know what I mean?
I think he just named a new genre.
Not that these people aren't talented. I mean, they are. It's just not the music I listen to every day. But ABBA, they came from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you also got to...
You can't argue with the results.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. So, anyway, Eurovision Song Contest. It's on Netflix, and it's fun.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And the last movie I want to talk about, which is going to be silly to people, but I just... anyway.
Because this has been hard-hitting so far?
Because it's an old movie. It's an old movie, but it's now on Starz. Is Charlie's Angels. And I know I've talked about it
I'm
a
on
million
board
times.
this one.
So I just wanted people to know, if you didn't see it in the movies, if you didn't want to rent it, and if you didn't want to buy it lately, it's now on Starz. And I just advise everyone to watch this latest iteration of Charlie's Angels. I've said it a million times. Elizabeth Banks wrote and directed it. She did a great job. And it is such a force for women, and it's not an in your face thing. It's so wonderful and lovely, and I can watch it multiple times a day, which I do. But I just wanted to kind of remind people, if you have Starz and you're clicking through, and what sucks is you might think it's the Drew Barrymore one, which again, I love those too. But when you're scrolling through, there's no difference in the name. So you might not realize that it's actually the new one. Yeah. So just, take a look with Kristen Stewart and Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah, and I will jump on board here and say that I enjoyed it immensely.
Yes.
I like Drew Barrymore, and I like Lucy Liu.
And Cameron Diaz.
I'm sorry, I'm getting there. And Cameron Diaz.
Sorry.
I like them all individually and even collectively, but I didn't care for those Charlie's Angels movies.
I did.
I know you love them, and
I know.
We've had arguments about this.
Yes.
Many, many, many times. I liked this latest one significantly more than those.
It's so good.
It's really, really good. It's really smart.
Yeah.
But
it stayed within. So the premise is it's still based off of the TV show, and the two Drew Barrymore movies are all in the same universe. And this one expands the Townsend Agency internationally, which all the show and those movies were all based in the LA area. And this says, well, we took it internationally. We exist in the same world that they did because Kelly Garrett is in it. I mean, so, so anyway, it's just Elizabeth Banks took a brilliant thing. She made it so good. It didn't do well. They probably won't make another one, which pisses me off. But again, I think that's why I keep bringing it up. Maybe if people just love it on Starz, it'll try and get more traction. I don't know. I think all girls should watch this. That's it.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll watch it. I'll watch it again.
You will, because I have it on all the time.
Well, you may come into one of the other rooms and find me in that room watching it.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's that good.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So that's movies. Now TV I'm going to talk about quickly. Again, we know TV. There's not a lot going on. So here's a few things I've watched. First, on Disney Plus last weekend, a series called Into the Unknown, The Making of Frozen 2 came out. This was super fascinating. I think, or there's 6 episodes, I think. And it's starting from the beginning, watching the cast record their vocals, watching the Lopez's write the songs. We're following the 2 directors who are writing it, and all the different things, the animators, the storyboard guys. It's so interesting.
You're watching the overall developmental process. It's really amazing.
I think we come in a little over a year, maybe a year before the premiere of the movie. And what's interesting was that I always thought with these animated movies, we've always heard they're working on them for 4 or 5 years. I thought that meant they were done well in advance. And honestly, this movie is not finished until I want to say 6 weeks before the premiere. It was crazy. They were tweaking the entire ending. Yeah. That the whole "Show Yourself" song, which is my favorite, wasn't working throughout the whole thing. It was a different song, it was a different ending, and they couldn't figure it out. So they had to change all of that. They have a bunch of screenings for people, and of course everything changes after something like they have 6 screenings or something before, and so many notes come out of that they change everything, and then you've got to have everyone come back in and record new dialogue and new stuff. It was just super amazing, and especially the animators. I mean, up until 6 weeks before the premiere, they still only had like 70% animated. It's insane. I had no idea. I thought all of that was done so far in advance. It's crazy.
I find that really surprising.
The stress of just watching this was incredible. And yet how, and again, one of the animators points out, I could spend 6 months on a shot. It might not make it in at all, or it's 8 seconds on the screen, so it's like she's like something she had done. she's like, I was sitting there watching with my family. I was like, this is mine. And it's gone. You know, and it's like, I can't imagine. And they show it because after one of these screenings with the notes, they come back and they go, okay, this is cut, this is cut, this is cut. And they just have to let these animators know this scene, they've all been cut. And these people have been working on it for a year and it's just gone. And it's like, oh, I can't even imagine the devastation.
Yeah.
You know, because it is a lot of work and you put so much pride into such a thing.
Sure. I guess the good news is they, you know, when they get the notes, it's never because it's not good enough. It's just it doesn't further the story or whatever the case is, right?
Right.
So I guess that helps a little bit. Plus, you still got paid for the year,
right?
You know.
So what I loved about this series the most is it shows how many different skill sets and people go into making such a thing. Again, you see 10 minutes of scrolling credits at the end. There's a reason. So it's not just an animator, you know, for the people who are doing the production design and are coming up with all the colors, the people who are doing the water. Yeah. Those people are actually engineers, software engineers, programmers. They're not animators. The programmers go in first and kind of decide the points. You know, they design all the points and all the moving parts.
The dynamics of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got all of those technical skills. Then you've got animators and artists, and then all the musicians, all of the sound engineers and sound techs. I mean, what I loved about it is that if I was a kid and this came out and I watched it, and again, if there was any sort of place where I could find myself wanting to be, knowing that Disney animation is a place to go, it could just, again, it changes a life, you know? And so I'm really thrilled that they put this series together because it's just so fascinating. You saw a little bit of it, but I think you'd really like it. I think you like that sort of thing.
I do, and I did see a few little pieces of it.
Yeah.
And was really intrigued. I was busy at the time.
Yeah, it's a lot because each episode was close to an hour, if not a little over or something. So you do want to kind of pace it.
But it does bring to mind though that, you know, we do watch the behind the scenes shows, the shorts and stuff on Disney Plus, and I think most people at Disney work at Disney because they wanted to work at Disney from a very early age. Right. That was what they wanted to do. Versus, you know, you go to any other business, it's like, well, I'm here because, you know, we were getting downsized and I had to go somewhere, so I'm here now. You know, it's no invested emotional investment. Whereas people who work at Disney, they're emotionally invested. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I applaud those people, and I'm jealous of those people. Right? Yeah. I didn't think about working at Disney until just a few years ago. Yeah. Well, a year ago, really.
Right, because you weren't exposed to these
I wasn't
sorts
exposed
of
to
things.
it, and just went for the first time last spring. Yeah. So now I can see it, but imagine somebody who at 5 or 6 saw something and said, I'm going to go work at Disney, and their whole life. Right. You know, they pick a college because it's got the exact program that they can translate to Disney and, you know, grad school or whatever the case is. Yeah. I mean, that's good for them.
It's fantastic.
But look at the products they put out. I mean, when you have those caliber of people all working in a place they want to be working at, you're not going to beat that.
Right. That's for sure.
That is the pinnacle.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's a great series. Definitely check it out. Even if you didn't like Frozen 2, which again I loved more than the first one, you don't have to, because again it's such a fascinating look behind the scenes. But for me, I cried a ton. I mean, there was just you know, again, the emotion behind the songs and them putting things together. I was kind of a mess throughout the whole thing, but you don't have to really care that much about the final product. But it also might make you appreciate it, and you might go back and rewatch it and love it. So, you know, I get the sense that if you do watch this series, you will go see the movie again. The next time you see it will be through different eyes. I would think so, for sure. Yeah,
because you'll have a much deeper appreciation for
what went into it,
how it was done, and what everybody went through. Yeah.
All right. The next couple things I'm going to talk about quickly are just things because I've been trying to give people information on things to watch during the quarantine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if you ever watched the variety series Actors on Actors, that's usually on some channel. I don't know. I just have it set to tape, so I never paid attention. They obviously can't do that now, but they're doing it virtually, and they're all on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think there's only been 3 that have been released. So the first one was Jennifer Aniston and Lisa Kudrow. That was fun and interesting. The next one was Paul Rudd and Chris Evans, which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them talking about Chris Evans was obviously talking about defending Jacob, and Paul Rudd was talking about his show Living with Yourself, which again I talked about on here but I had forgotten about. This is one that I am going to force you to try when we're done with Jane the Virgin. It's on Netflix. This is one where he clones himself, and it was a great show. And so listening to Paul Rudd talk about how he did it, I'm really excited to go back and watch again.
Okay.
And then the latest one was Anne Hathaway and Hugh Jackman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only halfway through that one. But I just wanted to bring it up. Just go to YouTube and you can search Variety or search Actors on Actors, and these will come up. And again, just something I thought people might want to take the time. And these are like hour-long back and forth between these people. So
you get your money's worth.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Cool.
And then the last thing I want to talk about is something that I'm late to the game a little bit. So there's a new app called Quibi. You haven't heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had downloaded the app months ago when it first came out, and then I had just never watched anything because I kept hearing like negative stuff about it. But then last week or so, I had heard that all these actors were recreating The Princess Bride on Quibi. So the thing with Quibi is all the shows are episodes are less than 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of this thing like you can watch an episode, on the go, whether it's on the toilet or it's
like the Cliff Notes. That's what I heard. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. No, these are real shows.
Okay.
Just they're keeping episodes to less than 10 minutes.
Are they recreating episodes of other shows or are these originals?
These are originals.
Oh, okay.
Except for this one. So the Princess Bride one, they're actually benefiting Jose's World Kitchen, whatever.
Feed America?
No.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, so all these people have recreated The Princess Bride. And it's fantastic for someone like me who loves The Princess Bride and knows it by heart. To the point, like, I was obsessed with this movie as a kid. I actually remember there was one time where my parents were on vacation and I was staying with a neighbor. And I was so sad and depressed that I just pulled out a pad of paper and I just started writing the dialogue from The Princess Bride word for word. That's how much I had it memorized. And how much I love that movie. And it just kind of, I think it was I was probably, sitting there miserable and couldn't watch TV or anything. And so that was my, I've always said if I were stuck on an island or something, that's what I would have to do. I would have to recreate all these things for myself. Anyway, so that was me as a kid. Hello. So I know The Princess Bride like that inside and out. And like you who hasn't seen it, you might not get a lot out of this, but for those of us that love the movie, it's so fantastic. Like literally every episode, it's different people playing the different characters. So there's been everyone. Fred Savage played himself. Rob Reiner, Adam Sandler, Tom Lennon, Pedro Pascal. Oh gosh, there's just been Jason Segel playing Andre the Giant's character.
Yeah. Anybody want a peanut? Is
the perfect imitation. Yeah. He does it so well. Gosh, there's Patton Oswalt. Did I say that? It's just been so wonderful and so lovely. Mackenzie Davis. And the thing is, they're all doing it from their homes, right? So when they're in a scene with another person, they're having to not talk to anyone, or they're having stand-ins, so they'll have their kids standing in, and the camera work is so off, and they're making the costumes all from stuff they have at home. Right. So they're hysterical costumes. The interludes, people are putting like Legos together and making Legos walk around to make different things. It's hysterical. It's kind of like Drunk History's quality type of thing.
Sure.
Actually, well, those costumes are actually nice. These are really literally people who are just wearing stuff from home.
Yeah.
And it's just everyone stepping in and doing different pieces and parts. And so for those of you that love The Princess Bride, it's totally worth checking out. It's a lot of fun. They're not done. All of the episodes haven't come out yet. So it'll be fun to see where we get to and how they continue to do it. So then while I was on there, I decided to check out the other shows that are on there. I started the first one, which is Anna Kendrick has a show on there called Dummy, where she discovers that the guy she's dating has one of those Japanese sex dolls that's really like realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was, the first episode was pretty funny. So I am going to go back and watch that. Liam Hemsworth has a show on there that looks really interesting. Sophie the Jonas, the one that's married to
Turner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She has a show on there that looks really good. Chrissy Teigen has like a Chrissy's Court type show on there. So there's funny things and then there's some interesting things. And like I said, the episodes are all under 10 minutes, but then I think, if you're stringing together 10, 17, I mean, you're basically going to sit and watch a movie, you know? So anyway, I'm late to the Quibi show. I don't know. I can't really recommend any of the others yet, but I am going to start, watching those, and you can watch on your phone. I know Fire TV has an app. I haven't looked on Apple TV yet to see if they have an app, so you can actually enjoy whatever. But I definitely recommend The Princess Bride remake. It's really cute and really funny. And good people. Oh, Jack Black. Oh, he's super funny.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, you had me at Adam Sandler, but I'll
he's doing
and
the
Jason Segel.
Peter Falk part, which again was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that. That's it. We're gonna move on to the Actors Corner.
Holy cow!
I know.
See if I have enough energy for this.
Sorry. Just get your Tom Cruise energy together.
Yeah. He's what, 6 years older than me?
I don't know.
5 years older than me? Yeah.
Technically.
Well, no, I mean, really.
Technically, yeah. Physically, he's like 30 years younger than you.
Oh, yeah. Physically, I'm at least 20 years older than him.
Okay. Movies you love. Tom Cruise.
So here's the funny thing. I always get this down to where I have 3 at the most. And a lot of times it'll be 2. Sometimes it's 1. I've got 5.
No, that's not. You got to spread it out. That's
no. I've got 5 for both love and like. 5 each. Calm down, crazy woman. All right, here we go.
That's why you do honorable mentions.
What's the difference? Here we go.
The point is, we're supposed to be paring it down to the top. To have 10 on there is
I couldn't do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Top Gun.
Yes.
Classic. A Few Good Men.
Yes.
Awesome. The Firm, which somebody hasn't seen.
Nope.
Awesome. Night and Day.
Okay.
Which I love. And Mission Impossible.
The first one?
Pretty much any of them. But certainly the first one.
Okay.
Those are the ones I love.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
So Top Gun and A Few Good Men are on mine. You know I can watch A Few Good Men on a loop.
And you often do.
And I often do. And Top Gun is just, yeah. I mean, the sequel, I can't say I'm like super excited about the sequel because of the casting. But I'm excited to see Maverick and see what they do.
Casting?
I have Night and Day under Secretly Love because I think it should be a secret that I love that movie. But again, I'm Cameron Diaz. I miss you so much.
Yeah.
Please come back. Please.
We hope you're doing well in life and wish you nothing but the best.
So glad you had a baby, but I'm also not because I think that means you'll never come back. But I know a lot of people don't like her. In this house, we love her. There's probably not a weekend that goes by that we aren't watching a movie of hers.
Really? A lot of people don't like her?
I don't think people think she's talented and all that sort of stuff. But
see, I think she's underappreciated then.
For me, I felt like this was the first time we saw Tom Cruise being really funny.
Yeah. Yes.
So I really liked the pairing of them, and I liked the movie. I thought it was exciting. What else did you have? Oh, The Firm. Yeah, can't speak of that. And it's also not on my embarrassed I haven't seen. I'm not embarrassed I haven't seen it.
You should be.
We'll see. See, I just had an inkling of like, oh, I think I'm in the mood to watch that.
It's on. It's been on the last couple of days. It's rotating right now on one of the movie channels. Yeah.
I gotta go watch Quibi.
See ya.
Mission Impossible. Yes, that's on my love as well. So mine were A Few Good Men, Top Gun, and Mission Impossible. My favorite Mission Impossible is the third one because J.J. Abrams is the best.
Okay.
And I love that storyline. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, and Billy Crudup, and Michelle Monaghan, and so and I feel like that one kind of really starts the storyline to all the next ones too. So anyway, okay. Movies you like. Okay, I'm gonna have an issue with this now. Well, because War of the Worlds is always your go-to, your favorite, your top, and that didn't make the top list. That's weird.
It's not my favorite go-to top. It's the top of...
You never sit and watch Few Good Men.
That's not
I don't
true.
think I've ever seen you sit and watch Top Gun. But
okay.
you always sit and watch War of the Worlds.
I will sit and watch the first 20 minutes.
Okay.
As soon as they're in the car driving up the freeway to Boston, I drift off. But the first 20 minutes where they establish the story and the thing comes out of the ground and...
Okay.
You brought it up.
Continue. Movies you like.
War of the Worlds. It is. It's the top of my list. You can see it from here. I'm not making it up. Whatever. Jerry Maguire. The Color of Money. Rain Man. And Days of Thunder.
Interesting.
And Days of Thunder, so it almost didn't make my list because I wanted to like it a lot more than I did like it. It ended up...
But yet it took up one of your top 10 slots. That makes no sense.
Well, because it's racing.
When was the last time you saw it?
Sat and watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Okay.
I watched parts of it just recently because it's on.
Okay.
It's rotating too.
I don't think I've seen it since the day it came out, and I don't remember anything about it. So
yeah,
I couldn't tell you anything.
It's my typical irritation with movies about sports or certain things. It ends up being so much more about the people than the sport that the sport almost they do a disservice to that. People in the racing world were thrilled when this was coming out. They thought, fine, we're finally getting another a good racing movie, because the previous one before that was, I think, Six Pack or something that people were always pointing to as the great racing movie.
Never heard of that.
Kenny Rogers?
Nope.
Anyway, yeah, case in point. So, it's just, I wanted to like it a lot more than I ended up liking it.
Okay, but so glad it's on your top 10. Okay, so I have War of the Worlds on my like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Steven Spielberg. I also have Jerry Maguire.
Mm-hmm.
Classic. What else did you have?
I had The Color of Money. Which,
oh, yeah, I've never seen.
Yeah. It's the one where...
yeah, he's a pool player.
Yeah.
I know.
Paul Newman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just never seen it.
I had Rain Man.
Rain Man didn't make my list at all. And not because it's not fantastic. It is. I just don't like to watch it very often. It's depressing. And, yeah, he's really good in it. Dustin's fantastic in it. But I kind of put these, my favorites are my favorites. It's just kind of like when we were talking about theater. I think Hamilton is the best show, but it falls on my list of my favorites. That's just because my favorites are the ones that I love. So it's what I watch all the time, and I don't sit and watch Rain Man. And I would say maybe once every 5 years do I watch it, so.
I don't think I watch it even that frequently. But the point is, when I first saw it, it's such a good movie.
Sure, and if that's how you're rating them, that's fine. That's not how I rate them.
Yeah,
so,
it's well, this is very subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Keep going. What else is on your list?
What was yours?
Why do you need to know what's on my list?
If it's on mine.
Days of Thunder. That's my 5th.
What was the 4th one?
Rain Man.
What was the 3rd one?
Color of Money. Are we going to... Let's just go through my list again. War of the
what I asked you.
War of the Worlds, Jerry Maguire, Color of Money, Rain Man, and Days of Thunder.
Okay, so mine was War of the Worlds, Jerry Maguire, and Interview with the Vampire, which I know you haven't seen.
Right.
But that one I can watch quite often because of Brad Pitt. So, and he's really good at being a real jerk in that one. Tom Cruise.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay, movies you hate.
Rock of Ages. I wanted to like it. I really did.
The only good thing in that movie, well, there were two. The only good thing in that movie was Tom Cruise. He was the best part of the movie, and Mary J. Blige.
No.
Those were the only two good things in the movie.
The only good thing about the movie was the music. The movie to me was a complete loss. Even with Tom Cruise, I did not like how he played that character at all.
Okay.
And if that's what if he did
he was as close to the actual show as possible. The problem was all the rest of the movie was Disneyized and made clean when that's not what the show is. The show is a very dirty, seedy, look at LA at that time, and that's not what they turned the movie into. But anyway, we won't get into
Okay,
that.
maybe that's why I didn't like it, because it didn't make sense, because everybody else was so poppy and bubbly, and
Right.
and then there he was, just this.
He did great.
Okay.
Next. So mine, Far and Away. Come on. Accent, no good. And Eyes Wide Shut. I just didn't like that movie. I just didn't like it.
Never saw it.
All right. Secretly Love. How many you have on this?
Just one. And
Okay.
and I'm sure I'm gonna have to explain why. Tropic Thunder.
You don't have to explain why. It's a fantastic movie.
Okay.
That's on my Secretly Love as well.
Interesting.
As well as Night and Day and Cocktail. I can watch Cocktail
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Remember seeing it for the first time, and that's
Whatever
just,
happened to Brian Brown?
He died.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay.
R.I.P. No, I actually don't know. I think so. But wasn't he Australian? So he might have. He wasn't Australian?
I don't know if he's Australian or British.
Did you ever watch that FX movie he was in?
No, I never have.
Let's see. I'm gonna look it up. Just talk.
He might have died, but he was Australian. I don't.
Well,
I'm not sure what you're trying
he
to.
He might be in Australia, which is why we haven't seen or heard from him.
Is that a new form of dead or Canadian?
Yeah, he was Australian. You big poo. Oh, this doesn't say he's dead. Whoopsies. Sorry, Brian Brown. I think he's not dead.
Yeah. He's just gone back to Australia. And
he's older in Australia. No, I don't know where he is. I'm sorry. That was probably all really wrong.
Oh my god.
Very sorry. Okay, moving on. Embarrassed you haven't seen.
Risky Business.
Wow. How'd you not see that? That was perfect for you as a kid. Well, whatever.
I had a strained childhood.
Yes, you did. Small Town Blues.
Yep. A small town in Wisconsin.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
So mine is Minority Report.
Okay. I haven't seen that either.
Think I may have, but I really don't remember it.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, there was that show that was based on Minority Report that was really interesting. It didn't work. It got canceled, but it was interesting enough to make me want to go and see the movie.
Interesting, but didn't work.
And
You're
I'm
cracking me up here.
I'm not embarrassed I haven't seen them, the Jack Reacher movies, but I've heard that they're good, so I put those on there.
I'm pretty sure we watched Jack Reacher. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It feels a lot like Mission Impossible, just not as secretive. It's still secretive, but yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
I saw the first one. I had no real need to see the second one, so I haven't.
Okay.
But it was okay.
Anything you're adding to your watch list?
Yeah, and this is I'm going to open this up to discussion because I don't know. So I found 3 movies on there that have always intrigued me, but I've never seen any of them.
Okay.
And I think one of them should go on the list. Vanilla Sky, Minority Report, and Magnolia.
Huh.
I don't know anything about any of them.
I didn't mind Vanilla Sky. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't mind it. I thought people were good in it. Magnolia, I wasn't a super fan of. It was a little off. Wasn't that Cameron Crowe, Magnolia? Did he direct that one?
I'm the wrong person.
I could be wrong there too. It didn't bother me, but it also wasn't anything I felt like seeing again. So I don't know. I don't think you'd like either one.
None of that was helpful at all.
Yeah, I don't feel like you'd like either one.
So then I guess it's Minority Report.
So I just have some honorable mentions. Endless Love was the first time he was so young in that. Outsiders. If you haven't seen The Outsiders, you need to go see it. Period. It's just classic, and it's so good. I had Risky Business, Rain Man, Born on the 4th of July. We can't sleep on that. It's just one that I can't watch.
Yeah, that's a tough one to watch.
Yeah, it really is. But he's so good in it.
I have seen it, and it is good.
Yeah.
But it's so heavy, I don't care to watch it.
Yeah. Because I was limiting myself to 3 each, I didn't know where to put Collateral because I actually really, really like that movie. Him and Jamie Foxx, where he's the hitman. It's so good. I love the look of it and the feel of it, and Jada Pinkett's in it, and I really like that movie.
For the record, I don't believe there are any rules to this.
No, but I personally feel like these are the top. So I don't feel like you get to have that many choices. That's just me.
But if you have honorable mentions that could have been in the top, just put them in the top and have one more.
No.
Okay.
And I did put down The Mummy on here. I didn't mind it. It wasn't great, which I think is why they haven't continued the series. You know, this was supposed to start Universal's adventure back into their original stories, which were The Mummy and, you know, Frankenstein and all those. But it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. Yeah, maybe I'm talking myself out of it.
Well, you're certainly
maybe it's not an honorable mention.
You're certainly not talking me into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
See,
it's hard because when I do love Tom Cruise, and before everyone gets out of control, I compartmentalize. I love Tom Cruise's movies. I love him in his movies. So, you know, I think that sometimes takes over when I'm watching stuff. You know what I mean?
It tints the glasses that you see some things through. Yeah. And that's that's understandable. That happens all the time.
Did you ever see American Made, that latest one where he played the true story?
Barry Seal.
Guy?
Yeah, where he played the guy who was working with the CIA.
He was doing both, though, wasn't he? Yeah.
Well, he ended up. So
yeah. Anyway.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Then we definitely don't need to tell the story if we haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I happen to know the real story.
You do.
I do.
That's a different podcast.
I'm not talking about it. So there. No, stop asking. You can't make me.
Hold me back.
All right, since you asked, here
Anyway, so that was it for this week.
Wow.
I feel like this was all over the place.
Oh, it was.
Is that any different?
No.
Okay.
I think we were just a little more animated today.
I'm very sleepy now.
I'm exhausted.
I've put myself to sleep.
Oh, no, that doesn't bode well for the people.
Wake up.
If anybody is listening to this, that doesn't bode well.
It should be me.
Well, I'd like you to listen to this, but, you know, if you're not, hey, that's okay, too.
All right. Anyway, today's 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to those who want to celebrate it.
Be respectful of your neighbors if you're firing off fireworks.
It's my aunt's birthday. Happy birthday to her. Yeah. Stop with the fireworks, people. Especially here in Southern California. Stop. You've been having fireworks every night for the last month and a half. Knock it off.
You go outside at 7 o'clock, anywhere 7 to 10, it sounds like a war zone.
Yeah, it's absolutely
insane.
awful. And last night was going until 3 o'clock in the morning, and our dog is petrified. Knock it off.
She's got a weak heart.
It's just fireworks.
Knock it off.
What is the big deal?
Yeah. Grow up, people.
Oh, this turned into something else. I think I got lost for a second. I forgot what we were doing. I'm so sorry.
The old man will go back to the corner now.
Wow. We're going to go. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
You've been warned.
Maybe. That's it.
We're going to
go watch Hamilton.
Yes.
And have a wonderful holiday weekend.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yes. Wear your mask.
Yes.
For sure.
Yep. No fireworks.
All right. Until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.